Hey, my friends, it's Chitra Rochlani, your intuitive guide and spiritual counselor. Now, before I get into today's conversation, I just want to clarify that I am not a professional qualified with any degrees in inner work, but I do like to believe that I have a self-appointed Ph.D. in ME, which is a Ph.D. in me. I've spent a better part of my life being hyper aware of myself. I've studied my shortcomings, I have studied my strengths, and everything in between to an obsessive level. And I really believe that the key to changing your life and your surroundings is to get to know yourself at a really deep level. So speaking of obsessive, I want to invite you to take a look today at where there might be excess in your life. What are you binging on? Now, we've all heard about binging in the context of binge eating, binge drinking, or even binge watching TV shows. But I noticed that we all have extreme behaviors or traits, or most of us do for that matter. There might be some exceptions. I shouldn't generalize, but from all the people that I have been speaking to, I noticed that there are certain extreme behaviors or traits that we exhibit. So let's take a look at a few examples, right? Are you excessively shopping or hoarding things? Are you obsessed with knowledge and intellect and news and constantly reading and learning and taking in information at a faster pace than you can keep up with it? What about being a perfectionist or someone extremely meticulous or organized in everything that they do? Are you always the funny guy or the life of the party? Are you extremely nice and chirpy and perky and complimentary to all the time? There's so many different ways that we can exhibit binge behaviors. And some of these behaviors might seem completely normal and, not excessive. But here's two ways that you know whether it is a bingy behavior or not. You seek validation via this behavior. You are known for it. People will praise you for it, and that feels good. On the flip side, the lack of validation or ignorance from other people when you exhibit these behaviors can kind of tick you off a little bit or make you feel bad. The other way to know whether it's bingy behavior is that it bothers you when other people don't exhibit similar behaviors. Now think about something that you might think of as your pet peeve, or finish the sentence, I can't stand it when people, and see what comes after, because that will give you a clue into your binge behavior, right? So those are the two ways to know whether it's a behavior in moderation or it's excessive, right? From a soul's perspective, these behaviors or traits can sway us from our original path. They also tell us that somewhere in our past we had to deal with something difficult, and, we started using these behaviors as coping mechanisms. So, all of these behaviors are just clues. They give us a clue into why we are the way we are, why we get bothered by the things we get bothered by, and why we're stuck in a loop of, not getting ahead or finding our alignment. So my hope today is to help you dig into yourself a little deeper, find these patterns or behaviors, and realize that if you get caught up in these, you might miss out on exploring your true path, because you're just caught up in this energy of like, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, or I need people to appreciate me for doing this. And that is not a fruitful way to spend your time and energy. So for example, I'm going to give you a quick example from my own life. When I was younger, I got the message loud and clear that sacrificing your happiness for others was the way to win brownie points. And, nobody overtly discussed this in my life, but it was, those underlying messages that we receive from our parents, our family members, everybody around us. And I was always given examples of how everything worked out for us because we gave so much of ourselves when no one else wanted to. We showed up when nobody else wanted to. We signed up and volunteered for tasks when no one else wanted to. So that was the way that I started to seek validation. I internalized these messages and I became a people pleaser, a yes person, the first to sign up for everything. And as a result, I never learned to set healthy boundaries. So as I got older, I realized that I had this constant nagging feeling of resentment and bitterness towards people because they were taking me for granted and I was not being appreciated enough. But I was also enabling the behavior and the expectation that I was going to show up and do things for them, right? So I had to learn how to set boundaries. I had to practice setting boundaries. I had to get really good at it. And I had to become okay with the fact that by setting boundaries, I'm not becoming a bad person. Just because everybody's not going to love me or like me or, appreciate what I do for them doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. So when I worked on these layers, I started to set good boundaries, and I realized that people actually do respect me when I show up, and they do respect what I have to say. By overdoing it, I was actually killing it a little bit, and so it took some time, but I was able to break free of this behavior. And, it's easier said than done, and it takes me, some time to fight through it even now. And my natural tendency is to be the first to raise your hand and say, I'll do it, but I have to hold back. So I hope that this inspires you to take a look in your own life to see where you might be showing excessive behaviors or what you might be binging on, and change that around and see how that opens your life up for more, or how that gives you more space to explore who you really are and identify that and bring a little bit of balance and, healthy relationship with everyone around you. All right. So have a wonderful day. Happy exploring. Let me know what comes up. And if you want to talk about it further, you can always comment or DM me. Take care. Bye.